Welcome to the flip side of adversity. I am your host, Dr. Virgia Jackson. Can we talk about something? This conversation actually hits home for me. For years, I lived by the shoulds. I should be a strong leader. I should keep everyone happy. I should carry it all without breaking. And while I looked like I had it all together on the outside, I was actually exhausted and honestly losing track of myself. Can anybody relate? Well, tonight we're flipping that script, not only for me, but for you as well. Our guest, Jessica Frew, is known for her ability to help people make clear decisions. And tonight, she's helping us shove our shoulds. She's here to show us how we can actually reclaim our voice, make a bold decision that actually aligns with who we truly are. Because, sis, peace doesn't come from perfection. It actually comes from you giving yourself permission to be bold and unapologetic. So let's lean into how we are going to show up and push or shove those shoulds out of our lives so that we can be authentic. Let's get into it. Trauma, toxic stress, broken habits, and hurting heart don't define destiny, but peace isn't passive. It requires an exchange. To create a flip and access peace in the middle of the pieces, you are challenged to make an exchange of the lies that have kept you mentally hostage in basement moments. Resilience isn't about bouncing back, but bouncing forward. Living Strong, the flip side of adversity, brings powerful stories and fearless conversations from experts in the field of business, relationships, emotional, physical, and mental health, and faith-based communities. Each episode creates a brave space with powerful tools from authentic connections. Tune in as we dig in with Dr. Jackson on the flip side of adversity. Welcome to another episode of the flip side of adversity. And as I shared, as you saw in our monologue, that this is a conversation that I know I have struggled with, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. Now, Jessica is no stranger to the flip side. She's been with us before, and in her last conversation, she really challenged us in our decision making. Well, she speaks from her own lived experience, and she's established boundaries and been committed to them, and has discovered her own superpower to help other women make the next best decision for themselves. And tonight, she's going to help us release the things that do not serve us, that keep us from showing up as our authentic selves. And as she does with many women, she will help us unlock what is keeping us stuck or in crisis or confused about what to do next. And her exclusive decision-making framework takes you through not only what now, but what's next, and her upcoming book, Shove the Shoulds, so you can be the badass you were always meant to be. It is going to be a powerful conversation, and I can't wait for Jessica Frew to join us on the flip side of adversity again. Welcome back, Jessica.
Yes, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here. You are one of my favorite people to talk to.
That makes me feel really smart. Thank you for filling my cup right from the beginning of the conversation.
I mean it. I just love the energy you bring and how you own your own badassery. So, yeah, so happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. Because I know that this is an issue for many people, I want to jump right into this because I would love to hear what was the very first should that you actually were able to identify for yourself that began this whole journey for you to help us unpack our own.
Honestly, the first one that I think of when I was a teenager, I just remember I was raised in a very conservative Christian religion, and I wanted to be the good girl. And I was the good girl. I was very straight edge. I lived into so many things. And also, there's this side of me that I wanted to have this crazy hair, and I dressed really loud. And that didn't fit the norm of what people wore or how we were supposed to look or how we were supposed to show up. And I had to dive deep into myself and kind of like I brought it to God basically and was like, hey, why is this in me? Why do I want to be this way? But also, I don't fit the mold. I don't look how I'm supposed to. Is this rebellion? Is this like, what is this? And I really came to believe that this was just me being who I was created to be, and leaning into it brought people to me. It allowed people to feel safe. And I was like, okay, I think this is just how I was created to be kind of a conduit for other people, to connect to themselves, to connect to love, something that felt safe. And so that was kind of my first time that I really remember kind of shoving those shoulds of what I thought I should look like and how I should dress. And it seems like such a basic thing, but it's not. When we embrace these smaller things on a day to day life, when we tell ourselves we are safe to dress how we want to dress, when we are safe to do our hair how we want to do our hair, to wear the earrings, to whatever it is that feels good to us. And sometimes that means like loud, bold, colorful things. Sometimes that means those comfy clothes that you just know you need to wear for the day. Whatever it is, those are the things that create safety for us in our lives. Those are those things that create those moments of it's okay to be ourselves. So we start trusting ourselves more.
There's so much connected to that. I know that you shared that it may on the outside initially feel like it's a small thing, but I
Mm.
actually think it's also connected to, as you just said, those moments. If we don't really connect with who we are and accept who we are, a lot of other things can become weights for us. I think about shame, loss of our voice. If I think about my youngest, the she's now 25, but when she was small, younger in elementary school, she went to a private school, uniforms. And they had
Mm.
to wear a particular uniform and they had to wear a particular type of shoe, but they never said anything about the socks. And she found her way through that loophole and wore some of the craziest, loudest, like such. She was like, this allows me to feel seen, mom.
Yes.
Until they figured out her loophole. And then no, they identified they had missed socks and she had to stop wearing her socks. But those things I think can become weights for people. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%. And when we're allowing ourselves to be silenced in small things, I mean, obviously, sometimes we conform to the dress code, we do whatever. But if that is a constant thing where we are silencing who we are in our lives, then that leads to the big things. Then, when we have these big decisions we have to make, we don't know how to hear our inner voice. All we know how to hear is that conditioning that is in us, those shoulds that pop up. I use the word should because it's an easy way to identify where we're placing judgment or where we're placing, conditioning into our lives. We're allowing it to speak louder than our own voice. And so if we don't get good, I mean, you talked about weights like holding us down, and I think of it as like also on the flip side of that, that's exactly what I was going to say. How appropriate is that? It's those weights. We're flexing that muscle. We're building that muscle of doing what is best for us. We're creating that strength to show up as ourselves. And that can feel scary at first. It can feel a little uncomfortable, and that's good. That means we're
Right.
doing something for us that feels right. And maybe it does feel like we're pushing the boundaries or we're being a little rebellious. That's okay.
Right.
It's okay to do that.
Right. As long as we're not taking on other people's labels, I think when we, it is such an amazing way that you just, two things that you did. You just shifted it and connected to, if we allow the labels, the shoulds of that we're telling ourselves or that other people are telling us, it can be a weight. But when we're actually exercising our voice, our value, you begin to build that muscle to lift the weight and actually stand up. And you connected us to our last conversation together. When we get clear on our voice, it also impacts our decisions. I love how you just did that.
It all goes together. I mean, it's so intertwined. And that's the thing is, it's like you can't really talk about one without the other because we have to shove those shoulds. We think about that conditioning, we identify it, and then without the action, nothing happens. And the action is the actual decision we're making. That is the thing that pushes us forward.
But the thing that resonated with me as you provided us with information to prep for this was you literally used the word either exhausted, or it was,
Mm,
when I read it, it literally went straight into my soul, because I remember a season in time in which I physically got ill because I was trying to be all of these things that someone else was telling me to be. And I kept telling, I should be this, I should be that. And as you referenced, in some respects, connecting to religion instead of relationship with God, it was, oh, you should be doing this, you're not doing enough of that. And I found myself physically ill. So when you
yeah.
talked about, when I read in your description for this week, that literally that word exhausted, I resonated so deeply with it. Can you walk us back to that moment in time where you really identified that exhaustion for yourself and help somebody who's listening?
Yeah. I mean, I think I felt it several times in my life where I hit the complete exhaustion, going through my divorce and having my husband come out as gay. Like, that's all one thing that was very exhausting. But I think the moment it really hit that I was like, this is the most tired and run down I've ever felt in my life was in my second marriage. It was about a year into our marriage. I mean, it started at the beginning of our marriage, but I hit this point where I was like, I am either going to lose myself completely or I'm going to lose this man. And I left him for like a weekend. I was like, I am out. I have been doing so much of what I thought everybody else wanted me to do in this marriage to try to prove myself. I mean, I've been through a divorce once. I don't want to do this again.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And also I have these other kids I need to take care of because I'm a stepmom and I want to prove my worth to them. I want to prove my worth to his ex-wife. I want to prove my worth to him, that I am worth having around. And it got to the point where I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot do this anymore. And Matt later brought up a story. He's like, I remember, Matt is my current husband. Matt was like, I remember you leaving on this trip. And it was a trip he was supposed to come with me on. And he's like, I watched you at the last minute. He didn't come. His kids didn't come. He goes, I watched you pack up Penny in the car. And this still gets me, like him telling me, recounting this story. He's like, you put her in the car and you walked to the back of the car and you were like, put your hands down on the bumper and we're leaning on it and just bawling. Like you just stood behind the car and sobbed. And his thought was, what am I doing to this woman? And there were things going on in our relationship, but he wasn't ultimately responsible for how I was allowing myself to be treated.
Yeah.
So I left. And not just on that trip, but like later in our marriage, I was like, I am out. I can't do this anymore. I have lost who I am. I am so run down between the divorce and now
Mhm.
carrying this that I can't handle. I was physically ill. Our bodies will start screaming when we don't listen. And so I left. And that weekend, I had a new place for my daughter and I to live. I had a full time job lined up. Like everything was in place to pivot and to shift. And I just thought, you know what? I really love this man and really knew we were meant to be together. It's like there is something here that I didn't try. And I know, like me out of anybody, I know how to do this. So I'm going back with the determination to put me first. I'm going to try again with me at the forefront of this relationship. And not that I'm going to neglect anybody, but I am going to make sure I put boundaries in place and I'm going to boldly be myself. And I'm not going to listen to these shoulds that are creeping in.
Mhm.
And I did. Matt wasn't happy to see me walk back in that door. He was like, I thought you were gone. I could tell he didn't want me there. And I'm like, no, we gotta try again. We gotta try again. We are too good together to not try again. And I created that safety to protect myself. And in turn, I watched as it created safety for Matt to choose himself and safety for his kids to speak up in their truth. And this is the power that I know is there. I've known this from when I was really young. And it healed our relationship in all of the ways I was craving and hoping for. And I mean, we're past 12 years of marriage now. This was a year into our marriage and have the marriage we had hoped for and the relationship we were craving and that connection. And so that is the power of shoving these shoulds. And that was the time that I definitely felt that exhaustion, that deep exhaustion that we feel. And that comes from not listening to what it is we want and need. And it comes from like our body and soul are just like, hey, you are doing everything for everybody else, but not what is truly in alignment for you. And you're going to feel this exhausted and tired until you release that. And I think so many of us like hit our 40s now and we're talking about this extreme tiredness from doing all the things. And I'm like, and also we can get ourselves partially out of this by leaving behind these shoulds we've been conditioned into. And when you were talking initially about like being the leader and all of these things, I'm like, you are that. And also, you had a story in your head, probably, I'm guessing, of what that leader needed to look like and how she needed to be showing up and what she should be doing that wasn't in alignment in everything that you believe, like that was fulfilling
Mhm.
as you as a leader. And you found that now. And I know that because I've watched you and seen you in this. And it's like, I get to be that strong, badass leader. I get to be all of these things. And also, I get to determine how to do that and what feels good in my heart, what that connection to God, source, universe, whatever you believe in, is telling me this looks like for me.
Yeah. Yes. When you give yourself permission to actually show up as the original design in
Mm,
your full purpose, it gives other people permission to do the same. And I love how you explained you did make yourself a priority and you shared the disclaimer, not that you didn't take care of or support other people or discount your responsibilities, but I've heard guest after guest, especially women, who have shared that when they actually should prioritize their well-being, it inevitably made them show up in the other roles in such a stronger, more powerful way.
mm,
So it's not being selfish. It is literally actually a permission slip for others to do the same and to continue for you to be able to access the best parts of who you are.
yeah.
Mm,
I
thank
mean,
you.
yeah. And you know what's so interesting in this is that we hear this over and over again as women especially. But we don't believe it. Like we hear and it's like, I don't understand how that works. Like there's no way that me taking care of myself first is going to help everybody else in my life, that it's going to lead me to my best purpose, that it's going to give me the energy to show up like fully for my kids, for my partner, for whatever's important to us in life.
Mhm.
And I'm like, okay, I hear you. And I want you to take a moment, those people that are thinking this, that are like, sure, whatever. I want to challenge you to take a moment to release that idea and to think, what if I'm wrong? What if I could be wrong about this? What if I can release my ego that's telling me there's no way this will work? There's no way that if I take care of myself first, then I get to have X, Y, and Z. Then I get to be deeply connected to my purpose, to my family, to my partner, to my work, to my pets, to whatever it is in your life. I want you to like let that ego go and try it. One
Mm.
thing a day. Do one thing a day that feels good to you
Mhm.
without anybody else in mind. Like, you can do one thing. It's clothes you put on your body. It's the way you do your hair. It's the food you want to eat. It's the workout you want to do. Not that you've been conditioned to believe you have to do, but the one that feels good to you. So if there's women out there, and don't just do it one day. I'm going to challenge you, like, do it for a week. Do it for 2 weeks. See how it starts feeling and what other things you start leaning into. So there's my challenge, because we do hear it all the time, but it's so hard to believe until you're doing it.
You are so right. Every time I bring it up, and there is inevitably someone who's saying, what? I can't
Yeah.
do that. I'll disappoint so and so, or someone who is expecting this of me. And if I start doing that, what is so and so going to say? And you just stepped on someone's toes. You said,
I sure did.
what if you are wrong?
And this is like when I go back to the decision making process, the second step of that is basically, I mean, it's be humble is the name of it. And I'm not saying be a doormat. I'm saying release that ego so that you can actually hear who you are and what it is you want and need and be wrong. Because dang it, I want to be wrong about all sorts of beliefs that I carry in my life. Like, I have realized that. I want to be wrong about the fact that divorce is going to ruin my life. I want to be wrong about the fact that it's going to ruin my daughter's life. I want to be wrong about so many things in my life because that conditioning has told me that it has to look another way, that
Mhm.
we have to be miserable if we get divorced. We have to, like, it's going to ruin our children. Like, I call bullcrap. Like, I can still have a strong, confident daughter, and I can still have a very happy, beautiful life and still be navigating all of these things
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because there's too much.
But I also think about the word fear, right? So those
Yes.
elements that are connected to this, and because I've been given a narrative or I've been told something and I accepted it, there's a fear thread connected to it. But fear can be really tricky. Like,
Mm.
it doesn't always come straight at you as scared. It can show up as overworking, being overly responsible, or being loyal, or calling something love that actually isn't. But at the root, it's fear. How do you actually help women understand when something is fear and that's driving your decisions and your responses?
Yeah. One of the things that you're speaking to here, I think of like it's using things to numb. Like, we don't want to, we're afraid of this feeling that is going to be on the other side of this. And if we acknowledge that feeling, then we feel like we're going to have to take action. And that's where the fear is. It's like, I'm going to overwork. I'm going to prove myself. I'm going to keep going because I don't want to deal with that feeling that I know is there. I don't want to deal with the truth that is in my gut right now. So I'm just going to keep covering it with all of these other things that look really good. They're looking good. And I'm going to keep going. And the thing is, like, when I think about fear, I think, okay, we are fearing the thing that we know. We often think we're fearing what we don't know, but we're actually fearing what we know because we can imagine it. So therefore, it is known to us. And when we understand and like start opening this I call it like a box of boxed beliefs, and we're gonna like pull open the top of it. We're gonna pop it open. And we're going to look out and we're going to be like, oh, there's things here that I couldn't see. I couldn't see that I actually get to be happy on the other side of this. And ultimately, I don't actually think we want to be happy. We want to feel safe.
Yes.
Like this box
Yes.
that I'm in, it doesn't feel safe. And that's why we're afraid. That's why there's fear that's coming up. It's like, hey, you're fearing this, but actually it's good because it's going to get you out of this box that you put yourself in. And on the other side of those things, that we get to have safety, we get to feel peace, we get to feel calm, we get to feel rested. Like that is like a huge thing for so many people. I just had a client who I've been she stayed in my world for a long time. Like she's probably fine to go off and do her thing, but she's just like, I can't let you go. And I love working with her. I'm like, that's fine. Like you can stay as long as you want. But she recently messaged me and she's like, Jessica, I think my relationship is boring. And she's like, we went to dinner and like there was nothing really to talk about. And I'm like, okay, wait, is it boring or is it safe? Like there's no drama that's
Mm.
constantly getting brought up. There's no like next thing that you got to plow through. And she's like, oh my gosh, you are so right. Like my nervous system, my body, my soul aren't used to feeling this safe. And she's like, this is amazing. Like, we're not going to dinner on Saturday night, dredging up a bunch of like co parenting drama or like drinking drama or addiction drama, like all these things she dealt with in her past relationship. And she's like, oh, this is so great. And I was like, yes. So it's just getting used to now we get to feel at peace. We get to feel rested. And I was like, this is your time of rest and feeling good. And she's like, yeah. So it's like those reminders of that's what we actually want and what we're seeking on the other side of this fear. Like we can let fears be the thing that we say are holding us back. But I mean, until you move forward, there's so much good on the other side that you got to pop that box open and see what the real options are. Like, yes, things are probably not going to go as planned, but there's beautiful things on the other side of that. So we got to add the pleasure in with the fear so then we can move forward.
Yes. That shift in thinking is golden
Mm-hmm.
because I think about as a trauma coach and trainer, I often talk about how you will hold on to this memory. And if we hold on to it, experience it enough, that chaos, that
Mm-hmm.
unrest, that disruption will actually feel normal, and peace
Yes.
and calm and serenity will be so foreign that we sometimes sabotage moments to get back to that. And that is golden. What if this is actually a safe moment instead of it being boring? And I'd like to lean in and ask, so as you're thinking about opening this box, and people can feel really scary
Mm-hmm.
because I've held on to these beliefs for so long. And so what if I discover that I've been holding on to something so long and I'm a part of why I'm still in this box? How do you walk people through grace and self-compassion as they're doing this work?
Yeah. Yeah. So, one of the first things I always talk about. So, in the first step of the decision making method, I say it's be gentle. We are going to learn to be gentle with ourselves. And as you know, as a fellow coach and somebody that works with women, this is the hardest part for us. This mindset that okay, I've put myself in this box and I've carried this identity. And I was going to say that too. Like, it's scary because we're releasing an identity. I'm no longer what I considered the good girl. I'm no longer what I considered the powerful leader. I'm no longer whatever. Like, I'm now divorced. I'm an ex wife. Like, I'm carrying this identity. So it's good and bad and all these identities that we're carrying in this box. And when we pop that open, we've got to be graceful with ourselves because we're gentle with ourselves because we've been so trained that no, this is the only way I can look. This is how it has to be. And we put ourselves in that box. ultimately, when we realize we have power to take ourselves out of the box, we have to acknowledge we put ourselves in there. And I tell women, like, this isn't where we beat ourselves up again for being here. This is where we just go, oh, sweet. Like, I put myself in here, which now means I have power to take myself out. It's not your fault you're in the box. You
Mm.
got put in there when you were a little kid.
Mm.
And because that is when the conditioning started. And you didn't have power then to understand that. You didn't have the means to understand that. You were put in this by well intentioned people in our lives, leaders, teachers, parents, grandparents, whoever. They did this unintentionally. They put you in that box and you allowed yourself to go in. And as adults, we've allowed ourselves to stay there. And that's where the power
Mhm.
comes of releasing that. But be gentle with yourself because, we talk about like doing that inner child work and things like that. Like you hear that a lot. This is how I visualize that. As a kid, you were conditioned to not trust yourself by well meaning adults who said things like, it doesn't hurt that bad. It's not that big of a deal. You shouldn't feel that way. You shouldn't want that. You should dress this way. You should do your hair this way because they wanted to help us. They wanted to help us get through the pain. They wanted to help us fit in and be accepted. But really, what we were doing, and we still do this to this day, is shutting down that little child's inner knowing. We shut that down because we wanted them to feel safe. And so as a kid, we're thinking, but this does hurt really bad. Like I just fell and it hurts. My body hurts. But my mom's like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. It doesn't hurt that bad. You're fine. And you're like, my body must not know. Like I don't know. And so be so gentle with yourself. Think of that little kid who got, we got separated from our own inner knowing and be gentle with them. We're not going to add one more should. I should have seen this. I should have known better. I should have whatever. No, we are going to identify it and we are going to acknowledge it. And then we're going to see it as the powerful tool that it is now. Like, because I see this, because I put myself there, I now have the power to pull myself out. And now, because I'm connecting with different people, I'm learning different things, like the women in your audience, I now have the power to change that. I now have the tools I need and the mindset shifts to be able to move forward. So it really comes like, again, whenever you hear those shoulds come up, whenever you feel that moment of judgment slip into your train of thought, you're like, no, this isn't my fault, but I now have the power to get me out of it. I have allowed myself to stay here. Now I get to move forward.
Yes. You have outlined shoulds as an initial kind of giving yourself permission. You just identified it as thoughts of judgment. Um, if someone is listening and for the first time they're hearing this concept of shoulds, what guidance could you give them for them to begin to recognize how they may be putting shoulds on themselves? What are some signs that, and I have a good friend, Nancy Massey, who would say, I've got to stop shoulding all over myself.
Yeah.
Like being able, what guidance could you give them for them to begin to recognize that is shoulds?
Yeah. Yeah. So the easiest way is to acknowledge, like when you hear the word should in your brain, or like you're thinking, oh, I should do that, I should, whatever, just acknowledge it. Like just be like, oh, there it is. And I challenge the women in my coaching groups. I'm like, I'll put you on a should challenge. And one time a day, you are going to drop into our community, like our group online, and put a should that you are carrying today. You don't have to do anything with it. You're not going to judge it. You're not going to be like, oh, crap, whatever. We all have them. You're just going to acknowledge it. And I think about this, like if you go to, first step of addiction recovery or Al-Anon or anything, like this is the first step. We have to acknowledge that it is there. Let it be seen. Acknowledge that it exists. And that is the most powerful way to start, is just one thing a day, hear that should and be like, okay, I hear the should. I didn't think I was carrying them, but there it is popping up. Now, if you want to take it to the next step, another very simple thing that you can do on your own is to change the word should to could. Like, I should go do this workout. Just change it to a could. I could go do that workout. And honestly, most of the time you like feel your body relax. Like, oh, I could do that. Do I want to? Is that what actually feels good today? Yeah, it is. So I'm actually just going to embrace that and go do it. Or no, like that doesn't feel good today. My body just wants to go for a walk. It doesn't want to do this rigorous workout. And like see how that feels in your body. And if it feels good to change or to whatever, if it feels good to do the thing, then go do it. If it doesn't, then reevaluate. Figure out what would feel good. What does feel good to you. But it's just a very simple place to start. And I think like once I started having this thought, like I mean I was already doing it, but like had a consciousness of it. I was like, "Oh yeah, I do this all the time." And it's such a basic simple way to shift things in real time.
And I heard you talk about community. Do you feel like a part of this that there actually is a need for a level of accountability or community or a safe connection with someone else to help you navigate and make those shifts? Is community important?
Oh, I think if you can get in a community, get in somewhere, if it's a one on one coach or if it's like group work, whatever, there is so much power in there. And it's not just for the accountability for yourself, there's so much power in realizing you're not alone in carrying some of these shoulds. Like, I mean, we will say, I know this is crazy. Like, we say that all the time, or this is so silly. I had a friend say, this is so silly that this brings me joy. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like, this is beautiful. Like, don't judge your joy. It was a simple, but those words matter because we are saying our joy is just silly. It doesn't matter that this little thing brings me joy. I'm like, give me all of the silly little things that bring me joy every day, all day long. Like, I want more of that in my life. But I think when we're in community and we're identifying these shoulds, big and small and all across the board, we realize we're not alone. And whether people are going through the exact same thing or not, makes us realize, okay, there's other people navigating these things. I'm not just dumb. I'm not crazy. I'm not too emotional. I'm not too much. I just need to embrace this. And also, I think sometimes when we hear people share, oh, this is so common, you're not alone in this. I want you to understand that when you hear that, that doesn't make it easier. It just
Mm.
means that you have support. Because I think sometimes we're like, oh, everybody deals with this. It shouldn't be that big of a deal. It shouldn't be that hard for me. I call bull crap.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean that it doesn't lessen the load or the weight we're carrying. It just means that we get to have people who understand. And sometimes it's like a big hug, just knowing somebody else is there that gets it. And so it's
Yes.
like, okay, I can keep going because I know this other person has it. So, yes, I feel community is huge. If you can get in a community, I mean, there's free communities, there's paid communities. It could be a friend group chat that you do and say, hey, let's identify our shoulds, or let's like create accountability for this and call me out when I use this language in real life when I'm speaking so that we stop doing some of those things. So, there's my rant on that.
Yes, but it was powerful. And when you said just because you there it is seen often doesn't mean that it's going to be easy to get released from it or to move through it. Also holds us, I don't want to say the word accountable, but it brings a truth to the story that this is going to take work, and it's not going to be a light switch. It is going to be a journey, and it's going to take work. But the benefits of it are so powerful on the other side. And I'd love to hear from you as you have done this work. What are you noticing around that has flipped in your life? What evidence or benefits have shown up for you?
I mean, for me, the first thing I think of is relationships, like the deep connections that I am able to have with individuals because I am willing to shove those shoulds and show up for myself is just massive. And that's what drives me in day-to-day life. I say my two main values that have been the guiding force in my life are love and boldness. And to me, those both come back to having love for myself first, being boldly who I am first, and then creating space for everybody else in my life to feel those. And when I do that for me, it creates that space for everybody else. And I think about I get to be in a relationship with my ex-husband that is loving, that is caring, that we genuinely love each other. And that wouldn't have come if I hadn't shoved those shoulds. I have a husband who loves my ex-husband and has created space for him in his life. Like so many things that people are like, this can't work. This can't be real. And I'm like, and it does work and it is real when you allow that flip in the script, when you allow those things to be flipped in how you view them, when you allow yourself to be wrong about them and say, what would happen though? Could this really be real? And not only in my interpersonal relationships, but I had somebody reach out to me online yesterday who's never been in my DMs. Like I've never heard from her, but she sent me a message yesterday. She's like, Jessica, I cut my hair. I've been wanting to cut my hair for so many years and I just keep hearing your voice in my head and I cut my hair. And I'm like, this is so crazy that I've never interacted with this person in any way, but that she's seen my content online. And yet I get to be a part of her life. We get to have a relationship. And I just think that is the most amazing, beautiful thing ever. That by just showing up as myself and sharing that, people feel inspired to be more of themselves. So for me, that's the thing I think of.
There's such a freedom in that story. Like the word like free just
Yeah.
uh that is, yeah, it's those moments. And you decided, like, as you have experienced all of these shifts in your own life, to put it all into a book. So tell
Yes.
us about the book. Tell us about, like, how did you land at deciding, like, this actually needs to be in a book? And how do you hope the book creates impact for others?
Yeah. I mean, kind of to the point that I was just speaking at is I
Mm-hmm.
want to be able to impact as many people as I can in this life. And a book is such a low ticket, low, money place to, I'm not saying that right, but you know what I mean? Like a
Yeah.
place that is accessible. It's accessible.
Accessible.
That's what I'm looking for to
Accessible.
so many people.
Yes.
And so I wanted to put that in there and be able to provide ways that were accessible for anybody to be able to go pick that up and be able to create this connection to themselves. And the joy that happens is that they're somewhat connected to me in that moment, and also they get deep connection to the people that matter in their lives. So I wanted to take those things and be able to share that in the most accessible way possible and be able to provide that support and lift other women up. I mean, men, you're welcome to come along too, but we are here to lift. I'm here to lift all the women all day long, because I know that when women rise, everybody rises. And so, yeah, that was the starting point of the book of I want to give this to as many people as I can. And so that's what inspired it. And also, I just knew for so long that our story, my story with my ex-husband, with my current husband, and all of the things was something that I was going to share. And so being able to share that in any way really be fulfills that mission that I felt in my heart.
Yeah. So that person who is sitting on that book that they're hesitating about their story,
Yeah.
you have again outlined, as I've heard so many authors share, that if you aren't focused on, is this going to make money? Is this going to, create some viral moment? But you focus on the fact that you want to make impact. You want to shift and offer something to others, it will lead you to the opportunity for significance and purpose, and the monetizing it will come, but it really is more rooted to how are you going to add value to the planet and to everyone who is connected to you, virtually or in person.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we have so many options at this point to be able to support and uplift each other and to also access what we need. Like, there are people that I would love to work with, but I can't afford to work with them. And so being able to connect with them through podcasts, through books, like, is so powerful. And yes, the money comes like if it money is an exchange of energy. So if you are exchanging money to buy a book, you are then welcoming in the energy of that book. If you are exchanging money to get coaching, you are welcoming in that as well. And one of the cool things, like right now with the pre-sale of the book, is I am offering some coaching offers with the book pre-sale that are really amazing. And so if and an amazing price point. And so if you were like, I want more than just a book, get the book and add this on because it makes such a difference. But no matter what, like, exchange whatever energy you have to be able to enter in at that level. If it is, you know, $15, $20, $30, whatever you have, like, go do that because it shows the universe. It signals that energy that you want to welcome it in. It doesn't have to be hundreds of dollars. It doesn't have to be thousands of dollars. It's what you have that you want to welcome in. So I think that's a really powerful thing to think about. And also, as the person on the other side of that, putting the energy into this work, when you put the energy into your work, when you put it into the coaching program, when you are offering the book, when you are offering those things, ideally that energy is coming back to you in all of the ways.
Yes. And it starts with a clear decision. Make the decision and exchange the energy and receive what the benefits of creating that shift and that move on purpose. You drop nuggets every single time you come. It is so absolutely powerful. And I'm curious, as you have continued to build your platform, to create your message, to launch the books, to be the consultant, how over time has success, like the definition of success, shifted or changed for you?
I've tried to be aware of this as I've gone throughout this whole process, just because I'm like, I don't want numbers to be the drive here. Like, that doesn't mean anything to me. But like I said, that DM that I got with that lady telling me she cut her hair, like, that is the success moment. When I get messages like that, or when somebody buys the book, not because of the dollar amount that's coming to me, but I mean, that's important too. And also, I'm like, that is somebody that I impacted their life, and I'm going to continue to impact their life because they just bought this book. So that to me is the guide of what success looks like and how I navigate that. Like, the numbers on Instagram or whatever, I try to really, I mean, there's moments that I'm like, oh, I wish that hit better. Or, oh, like, oh, I wish more people saw this reel, whatever. But then it's like a reality check. But like, think about the fact that 100 people just saw that, and somebody messaged me and said, the one person messaged me and said, hey, I really needed to hear that today. That's the moment of impact. That's the success. That's where I'm like, God, send me what you need me to do, because I'm going to keep going. And it feels scary, provide financially as I go, but like, I want to be able to help these people in the ways that I can. So
Yeah.
that's the moment of success.
And so I actually want to give you a moment, because I think about the woman who is actually listening, who feels
Mm.
like she is feeling overwhelmed or unseen or unheard. And this conversation has been resonating with her in a way that is unfamiliar. I'd love for you to just take a moment, and what's a truth you would like to share and speak right into her soul as she's listening to this conversation at this pivotal moment?
Yeah. The one thing that just came up for me is, if there is something you need to set down, like, setting that thing down does not define your worth. You are still of worth. You are still of value. All that you are doing isn't creating that worth. And so you get to lighten your load. You get to figure out what are the things you actually want to be doing and embrace those and release everything else. You're going to have more joy, more fulfillment. You're going to feel more rested and at peace when you start laying those things down. You are enough. You are doing enough. You don't need to do more. In fact, I would encourage you to do less.
That right there. Don't do more. I think in this season
No
and time,
more.
so this the grind culture, we've got to catch up. I'm too late. I'm behind. It's not about doing more.
It
It's
is
actually
not.
about doing less. Uh,
Yes.
People are now saying, so how do I get this book? So
Yeah.
tell them how they can get the book, how they can follow you and get connected to all of the things that come along with the book.
Yeah. So you can go to shoveyourshoulds.com and purchase the book. It will be there for you no matter when you are hearing this. And that is, yeah, just go get it there. Shoveyourshoulds.com. Very straightforward. And if you want to follow me, I am most active on Instagram. You can follow me at Hey Jessica Frew, and I will be there. Please come say hello in the DMs. Say hello in real life if by some chance you see me. But those are the two best places right now to connect with me. Shoveyourshoulds.com and then go to Hey Jessica Frew and become part of my community there.
So, wow, what a powerful reminder we have had throughout this entire conversation that our lives are not meant to actually be lived under the weight of any shoulds. Jessica has showed us that the real flip, when we're creating a flip out of the adversity or out of the weight or out of the someone else's expectations, that's actually found when we are no longer being silenced, but we decide to silence the fear. We decide to reclaim our voice. We give ourselves permission to live boldly and unapologetically. So, as Jessica shared, and I'm challenging you, this is your opportunity. One should you're ready to shove this week. She told you this is your assignment, and I am echoing it. I'm giving you the opportunity to create your shift. So write it down, release it, and replace it with a decision that actually honors your worth, that gives you permission. And I just want to thank you for continuing to join us on the flip side and allowing this journey to be one that encourages your healing journey. So if you haven't subscribed yet, we're encouraging you to subscribe, to share this episode, because I know it resonated with me as soon as I read how Jessica is living unapologetically. I know it resonated with me, so I know it's going to resonate with someone else. Share it with your sister, share it with your friend who actually needs that permission slip. And then meet us back here, same time, same place next week. And I just want to close out by thanking Jessica again for continuing to share your nuggets, continuing to encourage our listeners. Thank you, thank you, thank you. As always, another wonderful conversation.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, so everyone, same time, same place, right here on the flip side. We'll see you next week.